welcome to Bugbear's Basement. I am Chester C. Busby III, and I'm very happy to have you here today, as usual. We've been having a fun week here, and we're going to continue. Of course, keep in mind that later at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the pro edition of Drawn and Quartered on Blacklist Universe, Mike's channel. And that's always fun to watch because there's amazing artists over there, and we get to see their renditions of whatever the theme is. I'm not sure what the theme is today, but of course, we'll find out. And sometimes they even let us vote on what they're going to be drawing for the day, occasionally. And of course, tomorrow that means that we will be having to play off whatever theme they are using, but that'll always be fun. But here on Bugbear's Basement today, we're going to be dealing with the news, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about nerd culture and nerd stuff. Depending on who shows up in the panel, depends on what we will do. But Eric is here. He says, "Hello, party people." Well, hello to you, sir. Night Pope is here, of course. Happy Tuesday. Uh, and Joshua Hughes, our most favorite troll, is also here, and we do appreciate you being here. Guys, do keep in mind that we have all our links down below. We'd love you to check them out and get involved with those, particularly the ones for our Fan Speak on Facebook, as well as the Twitter and Facebook contacts for me. If you want to be a guest on this show or you would like to be on the fan edition of Drone Recorded, please just contact me and let me know that. We also have a link there for Tales from Beyond the Gate, which we have several members of our Fan Speak community are involved in that. We'd love for you to go check that out and support that in any way you can. That's a lot of fun and really cool project. A joint project, 160 pages plus, so it's certainly worth your $30. The Valen is in here. It says, "Hail Caesar, hail Raven." Well, hail you, Valen. Nice to have you in here. Now, I'll come over here and say hello to my panel real quick. And of course, we are joined as usual by the Denali Lama. How you doing, sir?
Aloha, how's everybody doing? I'm doing fantastic, especially in this cold, wet Florida weather. Thank you, North, for bringing in your cold front to us.
Yeah, that is odd. Cold doesn't really kind of suit Florida. Wet does, though. You guys do wet really well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I also see Roger Heller has jumped in here and he says, "Hey guys, well, hello to you, sir. Nice to have you here. Well, thank you for joining us, Denali. Of course, we are also joined by the chairman himself, Mr. DeWolf.
Hey, yeah, Canada called Texas and they want their weather back.
Yeah, huh? So you
Yeah,
guys have had a cold winter, huh?
it's just one good slap in the face. It's been up to 60 and then back down to 20 and teens and then back up to 50. So
Oh,
it's just been weird.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's kind of weird seeing it's global warming and everything. I guess Al Gore lied.
it's really cool. Hey, but did you see on the news that Israel, on a completely different note, Israel and Gaza are having some problems there, and I saw that the people that were in Gaza wanted to create some, I would assume, some sort of a visible disturbance in the air, like using smoke. So they were burning large piles of tires.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's effective.
So I was thinking how great the amount of pollution and global warming they're going to be contributing to those Gaza people.
Yeah, no, well, hey, who said they were environmentalists? I never heard anything about that. Of course, they would be environmentalists if it was opportunistic to them, for sure. I know. It always makes me laugh with that whole situation over there, even though it's not really funny. When people say the Israelis got amazing high-tech automatic weapons and missiles and stuff, they're just abusers. Yeah, well, the Israelis are also surrounded by tens of, if not hundreds of millions of people who want them dead. So I would think it would be nice for them to be properly defended.
And they're burning tires.
I
just think that's so. That's a good thing. If I burn tires in protest for Captain Marvel, do you think? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you never know. It could be helpful. It could be helpful. But I mean, as of course, we're gonna. I will mention it today. I'm not gonna think we're gonna take a lot of time on it. But the the thing with Captain Marvel is, as we said from early reviews, and now that the real reviews coming out, it's a mediocre movie, and that's what everybody's saying. Even the big super liberal boys are saying that. So which is fine. I mean, Black Panther was the same for me, but I think the problem they're going to find with it is if they had just shut her up, they probably would have made a fair bit of money. But even with that said, I think they're still going to make some money. Anyway, let's go over here and say hello to our other panelist. He is, of course, well known. He is the God of Thunder, and you do not want to anger him or his wrench, for that matter. Hello, sir.
Hello. And I would have to say that they're definitely trying to make a lot of money with all the underhanded tactics they're pulling by making it the only movie you can go to in a lot of theaters.
That's true. That is true. But hey, more power
Oh,
to
it's
him.
amazing.
So how you doing
Hello,
today,
hello,
sir?
hello. I am spectacular. I'm half spectacular. I ordered a new chair on Amazon. It was supposed to be here today, and
Mhm.
it's not, and I'm angry about it. But other than that, I'm spectacular.
I see.
Cool.
The Night Pope is over here saying, I'd like more rain here in California. Well, that is interesting, Night Pope, because I'm pretty sure you're an old dude who lives in Australia. But hey, you know.
So,
Oh, Night Pope is definitely not that.
so wait a second, Thundero. You mentioned something interesting. Are you saying that they're rigging the ticket machines much like they're rigging the voting machines?
Well, I mean, they effectively
Oh,
are. There's a lot of
accusations.
theaters that are selling
Oh.
they're not showing any other movie but Captain Marvel all weekend or for a few days of the weekend.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
Well, we'll just save that, guys, because we have a couple of different angles on the Captain Marvel thing. I think we've done every possible angle possible, but and I said possible twice. Oh
I
my,
got some more.
yeah,
It's a lot of angles.
yeah, it's a lot of angles, man. But anyway, of course, thank you very much for coming to the Thundero, and as well, we are joined by our pie expert from down under. How you doing, man?
Uh, I made it.
You did make it. So proud
Sounds
of
like
you.
you got
Uh,
wasted.
uh,
This is
I'm
the morning after.
I'm a working boy.
You're working boy. So
What?
how much
I don't
Pokemon
believe
Go
it.
did you get done at your job last night?
Oh my god, yes, I told you that Pokemon Go is for basic ass hoes,
Oh, you really?
Oh my.
I
and
see.
that I play Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I'm very excited for the knife gen.
I see. So yes, it's you're
Yeah.
enjoying your video game time and getting paid for it. Sweet. What does the
Yeah.
world come to? Joshua Hughes says, "What did you say,
Mhm.
Chester?" I don't know. I probably said something. It's usually offensive. Denali yells at me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I just get in
but
trouble
Chester
for the
deserve it.
most simple things. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Gotta keep him
Help me,
sharp.
Thundaro. Help me understand why am I politically incorrect?
Because you live in Japan, I would
Uh-huh.
say is the main reason.
Yep.
You're not
You're an
inundated.
American living in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're definitely not politically correct over there, at least not American way in the American
Well,
style.
you know
So
what? You know what the Japanese do that is really shocking and odd? You can be anything you want to be, and no one
wait a
bothers
minute.
you for it. What a
Nah, wait a
weird
minute.
concept, right?
Now that sounds really racist to me.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
is
dig
Yeah,
got to
it.
be racist. Yeah. No, the
we
Japanese
can't
are
have that.
well, the Japanese are the image of tolerance, actually. I mean, they really are. I mean, you can be anything you want
They
to be,
do
not hurt
tolerate a
anyone.
lot,
They do. Yeah.
including
Uh,
suicide. But that's another topic.
That is another topic.
Ouch.
Well, then again, now this is an interesting little thing. I'll get on that, and then I'll get on to the news real quick. But do you realize that a very funny thing about suicide
Uh-oh.
um, is
Go
that
ahead, Chester. Tell us the funny thing about suicide.
I am going to tell you the funny thing about suicide. Way back when the Catholic Church was first forming, the Roman Catholic Church, they had, of course, the initial, the way the book is written, the New Testament, God's testimony, and being saved by Jesus, and all that kind of stuff, that good stuff. And but the problem was the way it was written. That people were like, "Oh, okay, that's awesome," and they would just offing themselves left and right. They had huge die-offs within the church because people would just suicide themselves. Why stay in this hellhole? Just go to heaven, right? So the church
Mhm.
was in a panic. So what they decided to do was make suicide illegal and a sin, and therefore, if you actually commit suicide, you do not go to heaven. You go straight to hell, right? So they changed the rules, right?
Clever.
Clever, yeah, clever. But what that did was is it put a stigmata on top of suicide in the West,
Mhm.
whereas here in Asia there is no negative feelings or consequence about it. I mean, people don't like it; it isn't a happy thing, but there's nothing negative about it as far as religion or culture or government. You're not going to get fined. You're not going to have a penalty against you like you do in America or something like that. But that's the
Right.
funny thing about suicide. Gender is like ice cream. Oh goodness. You assume my
Oh
CG
no.
lore canon girlfriend's gender. No, oh, did I? I do
Oh
apologize,
no.
Joshua. All right, here we go. We're moving on. We're moving on for sure. We are moving on.
Please.
Uh, today I'm going to
Oh
start
my.
with something fun. Actually, I'm not going to start with any of this nonsense that we have to deal with, and I'm going to, of course, come over here and join and let the panel join in with us and see what we're
I'm
talking about.
I'm just glad that we're gonna delete the first 10 minutes of the show.
No, never. No, no, not at all. But this right here is from our friend in Finland, Olki, and we really appreciate all his involvement since he joined us on FanSpeak, and he keeps dropping news and such. And I wish he'd come on the show with us, actually, but
We're too
maybe.
late or too early for him.
Yeah. I know. It's I've talked to him a little bit. But we do appreciate his involvement. Thank you very much, sir. And this is a bit of news that, for me, is cool because I'm actually looking forward to seeing a Morbius movie, especially if they do it right. But here we have Jared Harris reportedly joins Jared Leto's Morbius movie. Now, this is pure rumor, and as you can see, there's not much to this article. For me, it's just an opportunity to talk about Morbius. So, what I throw to the panel and what I throw to the chat as well is, do you guys enjoy Morbius? Are you a fan of the comic book? Do you have any idea, any opinions on a movie about Morbius, et cetera, et cetera? Would anybody like to throw some opinion out there?
Yeah, I guess so. I think as a character, right? Because he's Morbius, the living vampire, right?
Yes.
So he is a different take. He's interesting in a way.
He's a
So
scientifically
yeah.
created vampire.
So I think yeah. So I think in that regard, I mean, I don't know a lot of his stories, but I do know the character concept. I have seen him here and there, and I think to put that up on the screen would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think having the scientific approach to it, of course, goes well with modern times. But I think the more important or more fun thing about the movie would be taking us back to the horror and disgust of the vampire. Because we've been dealing
Yeah.
with glowing vampires and pretty
Oh
boys for
my
too long, man.
goodness.
The vampire is a monster, right? And this is what makes
Yeah.
the character so tragic because he is a monster now. He doesn't want to be, but he is, and he has to deal with that. And that's the uh, center, the core of the story. And I want to see more of that. I want more Salem's Lot. I want less Twilight, right?
Yeah. And Interview with the Vampire actually balanced on that, right? The seductive nature of the vampire, as well as he was also monstrous too. So
Yes.
there you get a little bit of both.
Well,
Yeah, which was pretty
Anne
good.
Rice's books are good. And yes, by the way, it is Interview with a Vampire. I know that the Mandela Effect wants us to wants us to say that it's the Interview with the Vampire, but of course that doesn't make any sense, seeing as there are a lot of vampires in the damn story. It's
Correct.
That's for
grammatic.
Sunday's show.
It is for Sunday show. I'm just giving a teaser. It's a teaser. Actually, we're not talking about that at all on Sunday. We're talking about aliens. But I mean, that is one of the craziest Mandela ones, though. For me, it's like, of course, it's
I mean, how
Interview
do
with
you
a
how do you
Vampire.
know that vampires aren't aliens?
Well, there you go. There you go. There's an angle you could take right there. But anyway,
Whoa.
how about you, Thundar? Have you ever read any Morbius, or is this something that's outside of your ken?
I have not ever read any of it, unfortunately.
I see. Joshua says he was cool in the cartoons. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I like his books.
Vampires
Though.
just aren't really my jam. Not a big
I
fan of
get it.
vampires.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Although one thing that I thought was very interesting, Morbius, is he kind of had some similarities to Moon Knight, right? Because if you never read Moon Knight, you just think he's a generic Marvel ripoff of Batman. Of course, he's not. He's far from that. He is a mentally tortured schizophrenic, right? Who is way more violent than Batman, right? He's more Punisher end
Hmm.
of things. But Morbius is similar. It's the torture of his condition. It is the original Werewolf by Night. It's that problem. It's not. I'm a superpowered. I'm gonna go solve the world. No, he wants to be normal again. Right? He's desperate. George says, Chester, isn't the vampire shtick overused and done by now? Well, yeah, you would think so. That's why I think this would be cool to go back to the more horror side of it, right? But then again, zombies, I would say, were played out freaking 30 years ago, but they keep making them.
Oh,
You know,
It's like they just don't want to die.
they just don't want to die. That was actually a little bit clever, Denelli. Good for you. Everybody give Denelli a clap. It's a clap.
Ding,
Clap
ding,
for
ding.
Denali.
Yeah. Yay.
Denali gets
Like
clapped.
Booster. Oh, there's Booster. I thought he fell back asleep.
He probably did.
I'm
He's like
assuming.
somebody else being funny.
I'm here.
Okay, Booster. I'm assuming you have no opinions on on Morbius. I'm assuming. Okay, yeah.
I didn't
That's
even
what I
know
said.
Morbius was a character.
You did. Okay, there we go. So here you go, Denali. This is one of yours. Go ahead and lead us in, man.
Could a New Mutant end up on Disney Plus after the extended reshoots and fail reshoots and playing hot potatoes, going maybe to Hulu, maybe not going to Hulu, maybe being released, and might be looking that there might be doing that as a exclusive Disney Plus release, because why not?
Because why
At
not?
what point? At what point does somebody have to come into Disney's offices where they're handling this and say, "Okay, we're way deep in a sunk cost fallacy right now. Can we just abandon this ship because it's clearly not going to happen?" It just keeps falling apart every other month. It seems like it's ridiculous.
It is, and they probably will want to not waste it, and it probably will end up on Disney Plus or possibly Hulu, which they mentioned here in the article as well. But I think it's a little unfortunate. It just probably wasn't made well, but because the idea, the concept of having the New Mutants be a horror series, I liked it. I thought that's a good idea. Let's do that. But yeah, it just this seems to be a bit of a debacle. But it's the same thing with Dark Phoenix, which we know is coming out in June, which they mentioned right here in the article, and we know that thing is a train wreck already. All the reviews,
Watch
it's
it.
a train
Watch
wreck.
it comes out and it's beautiful. It's a great movie, and they were all wrong.
Could be. That would be awesome.
I'm gonna be positive.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Beep days. Yes, join me.
There you go. Be positive. It could be. It could be. Just like we were saying, Captain Marvel could be cool, but no. But then
Captain
again,
Marvel, the character, could be cool, but they refuse to make her that way.
well, see now, it probably is the best movie ever made. It probably is, but of course, it's those darn men. It's those darn men.
No.
Denali. The Mary Sue is speaking. Shut up and listen, man. Go ahead, Denali.
Oh, man. The Mary Sue lies about negative Captain Marvel only being written by men. And I need to add white men, because that's what
Yes,
the
yes,
Mary
yes.
Sue said.
Yeah. Now, of course,
Oh,
the
the Mary
reviews
Sue.
are coming in floods right now because the embargo has been lifted, and what we're seeing is this is a mediocre movie, just like we already knew it was, right? And that's not our
Yeah.
opinion. That's what other people have been saying. And the interesting thing is, there are a few, liberal rags who are just throwing 90%. They won't even put 100% on it, though. But some other liberal rags, like, the New York Times and stuff like that, they're giving this movie like a 50, 60%. So it's very interesting that these ultra liberal places are actually not loving on this movie. Because you would expect they just lie about it, because that's what they usually do.
Well, it's probably because maybe we're all wrong about it, and it's not going to be what she keeps saying it's going to be, and it's just going to be a normal Marvel movie. Maybe everybody was right that was saying that's all it's going to be.
Maybe.
But they're ridiculous. Kind of like the Ghostbusters movie wasn't super rah hardcore that way, but they made it out like it was some big feminist art piece, and it obviously destroyed any potential that movie had.
That's true.
And maybe
Right.
she just can't shut her trap long enough, and it's the same thing. So these people are upset that it's not what they thought it was going to be. They thought it was going to be a powerful moment for feminism, and it's just a
It could
Marvel
be,
movie.
yeah. But then again, I don't expect this movie to be as badly made as the Ghostbusters 2016, because that
No.
was a very badly made movie.
Yes.
I don't expect this one to be that bad. Actually, I would be shocked.
Hey, I gotta say though, as much as I can't necessarily go along with what Bree says about having to push feminism, because I think women have come a long way, and now just standing on their own 2 feet is all they need to do. But at the same time, I think having more chairs at the table, more chairs on the panel, I'm for that. Let's have more chairs out there. Okay. Bree?
No one cared. No one has any problem with that, dude. Nick W says
Right.
Rotten Tomatoes 86%, which is down. It keeps dropping. Metacritic is
Mhm.
sitting at 66, which that's really about what the average rating seems to be about. It's like I said, it's a middle of the road movie, and so and the Rotten Tomatoes is actually coming down. Now they've already done several things over Rotten Tomatoes to try to promote that number, but and I'm sure they'll do something again. But the problem is, everybody here, you should not be looking at Rotten Tomatoes. We all know that, and it's unfortunate too,
Oh yeah, it's
because
already done. Yeah.
it's way done. It's really too bad though, man, because I mean that was a very useful, fun, colorful, well-produced site, and it's unfortunate that
Right.
they couldn't just do their job, right? But I'm sure money. It's just about money.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
So
about
I
money.
have checked out some of the reviews already that have come out, and here's my take on where they went wrong with the movie. Okay, because
Oh boy,
well, I mean,
white guy.
maybe
sane.
hiring Brie wasn't a good fit for Captain Marvel. Maybe she could be a different character in the MCU, but I think the biggest problem is the actual writing, the writers.
Yeah.
Right. That right there, the story, the concept, what it is, because there's a huge setup of a universe that's out there and available within her story, but they went with this other version because there's better versions of stories and earlier concepts of Carol Danvers that were more interesting. And I think when you see it, you will realize, oh, it's just bad writing. And that's what we keep saying. We want good writers. We want good stories. The CG, or as we say, the art, will get you there, but it's the story that's going to actually entertain you.
Yeah, I mean, there's many things we could talk about. Of course, we don't know because we haven't seen the movie. But and I'm not going to watch it until it comes like on Netflix or something. And even then, I might not
So
watch it. But
probably won't come on Netflix. Probably go on Disney Plus.
oh, that's true. That's true. But
But I would
yeah.
say this: The Wolf. It's based on Kelly Suden, the Cormick.
I know.
So
Right.
I can't say it. That's actually giving her respect.
I see.
Oof.
Okay.
Oof.
But for me, I think that the step one problem was Brie Larson, casting of her. Not only because she's known, and they cast her because of her. She's known for speaking out in a feminist way. That's why they cast her. But I mean, it's unfortunate because we could have found another actress who would have fit the suit better, if you understand what I'm saying. Because she's too skinny. She's too scrawny. She's too little. Her head's too big for her body. It's because she's a scrawny little human, right? They could have gone with
And she has a square jaw.
well, they could have gone with
Athletic.
a more athletic woman, like a 5'5", 5'7", even taller
Mm-hmm.
lady, someone who's got some athleticism, some strength to her. Because one of the
Yeah. Here's
complaints, one of the complaints we're seeing in a lot of these reviews is she doesn't kung fu well. It's pretty bad,
yeah.
actually, is what
Well, she's
'Cause everybody's
she's
kung
not
fu
athletic
fighting.
at all. Have you ever?
No.
I mean, there's videos of her working out, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You can tell
I
she's not
thought she did a
athletic
good
at all.
job.
Oh boy.
From what I've seen, and I've defended her before, I've defended the cocky attitude and the things that she says that sound kind of feminist, like let's show the boys how to do this. But as saying that's the cocky fighter pilot that's coming out, and that should be there because I've seen them. But that's the same thing that when I look at her face, I don't see the weathered intensity of a type A person that is sat in the room, planned bombing runs, and gone through all the things test pilots have to do. A weathering experience that it puts age on your face. And I've seen those women, and they're still beautiful women. They're very capable and driven and cocky, but that's kind of missing that Air Force pilot nature. I think that whenever I see her.
Well, you do
Yeah,
realize
but
that by definition, women can't be cocky, right?
Gentlemen, as much as I love a circle jerk about how terrible Brie Larson is, but I believe today we're talking about the Mary Sue.
We are.
mhm.
And apparently they have lied about negative Captain Marvel reviews only being written by white men. So
Yeah, well, that's not true.
why don't
We
we
know
check
it's
that
not
out?
true. Why don't we check it? Because we're having fun, Booster. God.
He
Oh,
comes pecking out the
I'm sorry.
details.
I'm sorry for trying to keep people on topic. Oh my.
I apologize. But no, there are women. They show
Booster
women right
keeping
here
people
that
on
are talking
topic.
bad.
Wow.
Barbara
This
Van
job
Denborough, written
changing
in
you.
the Arizona Republic. For all its thematic and behind-the-scenes innovation, cinematic Captain Marvel feels like a step backward for the MCU. Okay, there you go. There you go. There's female opinion, and there are many more. Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. They don't like it either. Is kind of the point. But Mary Sue, I mean, to say that Mary Sue lies is that a shock to anyone in chat? Are you shocked? Okay.
I mean, the Mary Sue is a website for how do we put it? C words.
Yeah. Go back up to that headline real quick there, Chester.
I am.
Hang on.
Here I
I'm
am.
looking at the wrong screen. Okay, sorry. I was looking at the wrong screen. Okay, so the Mary Sue lies about negative Captain Marvel reviews only being written by men. The implication even there is unbelievably sexist.
By
Because
John F. Trent.
basically what he's saying is that, especially white men, only men would ever have any complaint about this movie. In other words, women have no choice but to like this movie.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable how
Yeah.
obtuse these people are and how they project. It's incredible.
Yeah. Now
Mhm.
understand that
Imagine-
John is just reporting here. He's not. It's not his
Mhm.
article, right?
Yeah.
So if
No,
you're-
but
if you're-
whoever wrote the Mary Sue stuff is the issue.
If you're a woman, you have to agree with them. You can't have your own opinion. Ye women that can have their own opinion. Yeah.
Imagine being so not sexist and racist that you just go full circle and just become sexist and racist all
You
over
have
again.
completed the cycle.
That's social justice in a nutshell for you.
Well, Night Pope, our very own Pope Fire, says that the internet made it so industry outsiders can review movies, ruined them controlling the narrative. Ghost of Henry, which is an interesting name, where they went wrong with this movie was actually making it. Nobody wanted it.
He's
Nobody
not
gives
wrong.
a rat's ass about Captain Marvel as a character. Ding ding.
I wanted it.
Indeed. You wanted it. Actually, I would have liked
You're
the
the one
original
guy.
story, actually. George says, Chester, she should have mimicked Tom Cruise Top Gun acting to make her awesome. I'm not a big fan of
We
Tom
are-
Cruise or that movie, but I get it. I get it.
We
I
are
get it.
getting we are getting a real Captain Marvel movie next month on April 5th.
Shazam.
Oh,
And it looks awesome, by the way. I'm very excited for that movie.
Yeah, a lot of people are. Let me see if I have something that's not Captain Marvel related. Oh, Captain America Winter Soldier is trending on Twitter. Why? Because
You're welcome. You're welcome, Twitter.
Jamel Hill asked if any three movies are better than Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Well, for me, the Captain American trilogy is certainly better than Dark Knight because I don't care for the Dark Knight series at all, especially the last one. I do like Heath Ledger's performance, but yes, I know.
Blasphemy.
He also mentions the Iron
No.
Man trilogy. He mentions the Spider-Man. He also mentioned, which is
Okay.
no, and Blade as well.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, and no.
Okay. One, Iron Man trilogy. It doesn't count as a fudging trilogy because Iron Man 2 and 3 are cluster fudges, right?
They're
That
setup
doesn't mean they
movies.
don't count as a trilogy, dude.
They
But
don't
okay,
count as a trilogy.
okay, fine. We've triggered the booster.
Very angry about this.
He is. He
No,
is.
But I'm sorry,
Okay, I
no.
get it. The Dark Knight Rises is a little rubbish. I have no idea why anyone would think that. But
No, I just didn't care for
Nobody-
Christian Bale's portrayal at all.
The Nolan trilogy isn't even good, in all honesty. The Dark Knight is fantastic, but the rest of it is just okay. That's really the only reason that trilogy is so fondly remembered is the Heath Ledger's performance in that movie. It was really him. I mean, he carried that whole movie. The Iron Man movies, there's one good one, and it's not 2 or 3. 3 is a train wreck, and 1's pretty good. 2's also a train wreck. The Spider-Man movies, there's only one actually good movie out of the original trilogy, and then
Tobey
there's
Maguire,
2.
right?
Yes, and then there's one that's a good, okay movie, like the first one, and then there's a third one which is an absolute train
movies.
wreck.
the Raimi movies have not aged well.
I just don't understand how anybody could make this argument logically. There are 2 really good movies that are superhero movies, Like actually just good movies, period, that have come out in the last 20 years, and it's Dark Knight and Winter Soldier. That's it.
Yeah,
Everything
well,
else has just been a good superhero movie.
true. But if
Iron Man 3 is MacGyver Tony Stark. You take him
Iron
out
Man
of his
3
element.
is horrible. Iron Man doesn't
He's-
even beat the bad guy in his own movie.
He's
His
got
girlfriend does for no
PTSD.
reason.
He has to work through that. And
Well,
that's a
Yeah,
that's,
and
and that's a big
If
thing
they would have ended that
in
movie
with
about 15, 20 minutes before they did, it would have been a great
soldiers
movie.
to have that portrayed on screen. the
Iron
way
Man
they did.
3 was a waste of time. Iron Man, it was Billy in the bloody suit, that movie.
Yep.
And then when he's finally
That's
about
the
to
point.
put on the suit, it's because it looks like his girlfriend's about to die, and they want to have a slapstick moment right after his girlfriend supposedly dies, have the Iron Man suit crumble before him, like, ooh, how silly.
It's because he
Forget
is
about
Iron
tragic
Man
Death, that's
I
retarded.
see.
and not the
I-
suit.
you-
You
you-
completely
you're
missed it.
losing that
I hate
argument there,
you.
Dwayne.
Movie.
You short-sighted little news
I-
reader.
Will short sight your face with my
passion.
hand, boy.
The passion in from Iron Man 3. I've never seen anything
Yeah.
like
You're
it.
no
Well,
better,
you know,
Thundara.
To be fair though, with Iron Man 3, if they had followed the original extremist storyline in Iron Man, that movie would have killed. That would have been amazing. I mean, if you've ever read Extremist, that is an amazing thing. And they went and twisted and butchered it. Now, I understand that the movie people have to make adjustments, but they didn't have to adjust like that. They could have told that story. And it's because they wanted to have Lady Power. Thundera's right. But the
And it's
Extremist,
also because they wanted to subvert our expectations with the Mandarin, which
Yeah,
was
but-
stupid.
stupid, dude. But
Which
if
was
they had,
awesome because now
did
you had
guys
Ringo.
read Extremist? Did you read that?
No,
That's
did
one
not.
of the best Iron Man stories of all time. That is amazing.
correct. But I've never read it.
Oh, gee.
But well, that's just what everybody says, so I'm just assuming
It's
they're
true.
all right. But the Mandarin stuff is what really pissed me off in that movie because it was so unnecessary. They didn't need to do any of that. It was all just to get people to watch it because we thought we were going to get to see the Mandarin finally. And it was just to screw with the audience. It was basically a lesser version of killing Luke off in Last Jedi. That's what it was.
No, the genius behind that is you
Genius.
portray him the way he is, right? And then you have the Ten Rings organization have the real Mandarin in a later movie, and that is a bigger build-up and
That was a
big-
retcon. The only reason they did that is because everybody hated what they did with the Mandarin.
I don't care.
think
It
it
makes
was,
a better payoff.
It does, yeah.
And
Um,
that movie's never coming because he doesn't want to make another single Iron Man movie, so it's never
well,
going to happen.
The thing is, the dude they picked to play the fake Mandarin would have been an awesome Mandarin. I mean, I think I would have
He's a
went with
great
a
actor.
Chinese guy, but still. I mean, I think
They
it's
wasted him entirely.
Play Gandhi.
Fortune cookies.
yes, he
So-
did play Gandhi. Yeah.
Empty and tasteless like the rest of American culture.
Oh goodness. Okay, we have some
Oh.
tirades today. So from what I'm hearing.
What the hell you want to start, Wolf? Iron Man 3.
Okay,
That's
all right.
the hill he's chosen to die on.
It is, and here's what I understand from everyone's opinion. Yes, everyone agrees the Captain America trilogy is better than the Dark Knight. All right, awesome. Moving on.
What I know is all of the negative opinions about Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2 are wrong because you're all men, and the Mary Sue agrees with me. You're lying.
All right,
I actually
guys.
like Iron Man 2. It's just not a great movie. It's
Yeah.
it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie.
I'm going to hell for saying that now.
You are definitely going to hell for that, brother. Oh, look, more Captain Marvel news. That's what we
Oh
need.
God.
Come on, Danelli, let us have it.
The BO preview, Captain Marvel Eyes 125 plus, nearly 300 million globally.
Yeah, I believe
300. So, this is a preview. They're saying they're looking at 125, and what did we say? It's going to be about 100 or less.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 100 or less. And with these lukewarm reviews, and the whole thing going on, and that the best actor is Ben Mendelsohn, who's the villain. Netflix it, Red
Well,
Box it.
that's not. I mean, the best actor being the villain's actually probably a good thing usually, but
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious that they're doing everything. Disney's done everything in their power to make this movie a success because their agenda, their ridiculous anti-man agenda that they have, and they want her to be the face of their brand going forward. So they need this to be a success. They can't just keep on a hope and a prayer with these billion-dollar movie franchises do what they do with the comics because they don't care about the comics. Those don't really. They're not going to make $1 billion off a comic book. That'd be amazing. It's not going to happen. They could make $1 billion off a movie, so they care about that. So they need this to be a success.
You know, the interesting thing on that is I've seen quite a bit. We haven't talked about it, but I've seen quite a bit of comparison to the Wonder Woman thing. But the Wonder Woman situation is very different. That was a mediocre movie. This sounds like a mediocre movie. They're probably about similar, I would imagine. But the difference is, Wonder Woman was a mediocre movie amongst a bunch of crap, right? So it stood up and it stood out
Oh,
over there at
yes.
DC. A mediocre movie from Captain Marvel here is standing up against some of the great movies of the past decade. It is not the same situation, and it will be compared to other Marvel movies, and it will not compare strongly. And that's a problem. It's not going to work like Wonder Woman because everybody comes and say, "Oh, it's so great." Well, in comparison, maybe because it was a mediocre movie. There was so much nonsense,
And there's
plot hole crap in that movie.
not only is this going to be a mediocre movie by all accounts, and I'm sure it is. I have a feeling the critics are right on this one. It's a movie they can't afford to be mediocre because they're going into a phase where they potentially don't have any of their big draws anymore. They might all go away. We don't know what's going to happen with them. If that
What?
happens, they need her. They
You
need
got
her to be.
Spidey and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, they have yeah, but I'm talking about the people in the MCU.
They
like
don't
Robert
have
Downey
Spider-Man,
Jr.,
guys.
Captain America,
That's done.
and
They don't have Spider-Man.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, before
Captain America, Iron Man, those guys have been their big draws. They've been the ones carrying the franchise forward. They may not have any of them going forward. They're probably going to still have Thor. I think he still wants to make movies, but the other guys kind of went out. And they need her to be awesome. She has to kill it. And if she's not going to kill it here, they're going to have to come up with a plan B. They may already have a plan B.
The
probably.
plan B should be the first female movie superhero that has a hysterectomy.
Oh, God.
Right.
You mean Black Widow?
No, the plan B should actually be Spider-Man, but they can't
Black
get that
Widow?
right either.
The
Yeah.
homeless, going over to the chat, the homeless liberal also says, also, Gal Gadot seems so nice. That is true. She does come off as a nice lady. She helps children without any particular need or reason to or being paid. Yeah, she's just kind of a
Ouch.
nice lady. There is, Valen says, there is a difference between a mediocre movie that you care about, the character, and one that you don't give an F about. No, that's very, very true. Very, very true.
Yes.
And I think Wonder Woman is a perfect example of that. Black Panther is a better one because that's another mediocre movie. That movie has tons of trouble. That's Wonder
Yeah.
Woman is stellar in comparison to Black Panther, but yet the
Most
black
likable
community
character.
loves it.
Oscar-nominated Black Panther, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but
Mm.
but the point that is being made is a fair one, right? Because there's a lot of love for Black Panther. The fact that it's not actually a very good movie, it doesn't matter, right?
I gotta get running, but I want to
Okay.
answer Nick W's question about how many of us guys are going to see CM in the theaters. And so as I look at this beautiful picture of Brie Larson here, I've got to I've got to take Dazzler, right? Dazzler's birthday is end of the month, so I'm gonna. She wants to go. It's her birthday. How do you stop it? And it's Dazzler, so I'm gonna be taking her, and she has heard some of the stuff that goes on, but we're also trying to be positive. She wants to see it. We're gonna go. I'm gonna try to hold her off, till next week, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I thought she changed her mind and wanted to watch Battle Angel Alita.
I wanted to take her to Battle Angel Alita, but we're gonna go see Captain Marvel,
Yeah, no, I think
Well-
she'll have fun, dude. I don't expect this.
and then
movie
we'll
to
do
be
the
raw,
Dazzler review on it. I
toxic,
guess
hateful.
No,
Yeah,
it's not going to be a
It's
terrible
not.
movie.
I think
It's
I
just
think
gonna
she'll have
be-
fun.
It's going to be a solid.
Yeah, well,
5 or
yeah,
6
yeah.
out of 10.
We'll have her on. We'll have her on so she can give her professional opinion.
Well, because if Brie Larson had just shut her damn mouth, I'd have gone to the theaters to see it too.
yeah.
I mean, but anyway, thanks for coming to Wolf. Go
All right.
go get your
Later,
kid,
man.
man.
See ya. You do have George here, so he can fill in.
Well, hello, George. How you
Hello,
doing?
George.
Let's move on to our next story here, which we knew this was coming. Denali, we knew it was coming. Go ahead.
Mike Deodato chose Jeff Lemire at Dark Horse for Berserker Unbound.
Okay, I'm just calling it now, bastards, bastards, because Jeff Lemire is an absolute tool, and so is Mike. And Berserk, I love Berserk, man, and I'm assuming this is a Berserk I know about, right? Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
is Berserker Unbound. It's the
Berserker.
Oh no, it's not. It's different. Okay. Whew. All right. So they can ruin this all they want. I don't care. The prophecy says that in the comic book industry's darkest days, a hero will come to lead the people through a plague of overpriced floppies, incentive variant covers, #1 issue reboots, and super mega crossover events. Scourge of Rich Johnson, maker of puns, and seeker of the snide cut, Jude Terra. Sadly, it is not the hero comics needed right now, but he's the one the industry deserves. Ha ha ha! Whatever that means, I have no clue. I have
Oh,
no
Jude
clue.
Terra,
Jude
I hope you
Terra.
get AIDS.
Oh
God.
God!
Booster.
But the thing is,
Was,
what a
was that
Extra
too much?
spicy. Extra spicy.
what a team though. Mike Deodato and Jeff Lemire. Oh my Oh my God, dude. That is, oh goodness gracious. That hurts my brain, dude. But hey, it's a marriage made in heaven, so I hope they enjoy themselves. Though next, now this right here, we're going to talk about a little bit. Everybody and their
My
brothers talking
man.
about it, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But let me just lay out what the deal is. Terry Crews, who we all know from commercials or movies or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is quite popular. We've seen him around for a long time. He's cool. He made a very simple statement, which was talking about homosexual people having children and the fact that the kids would not be completely fulfilled in that relationship. And of course, seeing as there is not a mother and father figure, of course, or not even figure, actual male and female, of course, it's going to be reduced. You need a mom and dad. You know, we have every statistic in the book has pointed toward this for the past frickin' 6 decades, right? So, of
Yep.
course, that's a truthful statement, right? And he's caught all kind of flack for it, and I do believe he's apologized, but which he shouldn't have. Now I don't know if I'd bother to make that comment. It's kind of like common sense. Everybody knows that's true, but because one of the things Terry does that maybe you guys don't know, sometimes he makes comments that I don't appreciate, but it's his opinion. But one thing that Terry does is he really has been pushing for a long time to try to improve the black community and the black family. He doesn't like the single motherhood. He doesn't like the nonsense that's going on in the black community. He's been trying to change that, as several black celebrities are doing, as they should, because not all black people, of course. I'm talking about the black community that's what we
Hashtag,
consider more
not all.
hashtag, right? The black ghetto community, I guess you'd call it.
Just
Um,
a statistically huge percentage, but hashtag not all.
Well, it isn't
Yes.
because the thing is, here's the thing. Now, this is good. I'm sure I'm going to get yelled at by everybody here, but here's the thing. I've traveled all over this planet. I've met people from every continent, literally, including Antarctica, by the way. I've had friends that have spent years in Antarctica working, so I've technically have met people from every continent on this planet. And here's the thing. I've met a lot of people who are tribalism lives, man, everywhere you go. But I've never met anybody as racist as a black American, ever. Not even the black Africans or even close. They're quite normal. They're like
No, black
everybody else.
Africans largely don't like African Americans. It's
Well, no, they
interesting.
don't. But I mean, they're
They don't
just
seem to get
normal.
along.
They're tribal, like everybody else is. But the black Americans are bad in that they're really they're intolerant and toxic, toxic racist. Right now, to be fair, there are, in my experience of living in America, which has been a long time, but to be fair, my experience was there's two types. You have those that are just Americans. They're no different than any of us. And then you have the black American who they cannot stop thinking about it, and they live in this fantasy world, this where urban legend rules them, where they think the white man's out to get them, the white man's out to do this, the white man's doing this. Of course, it's complete nonsense. The white man could give 2 cents for them. We don't care. We have our own problems, right? But this is the urban legend, the fantasy world they live in, and it's created this incredibly toxic environment where you have all the high crime rates, the high murder rates. I mean, what is the average life expectancy of a black American male? right? It's very low.
I think
right?
it's like
It's
10 or 15 years lower than a white person.
oh, and
It's
in
it's a lot
certain
lower.
places, it's 25 years old, dude.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, in
ridiculous. They have a
Chicago.
huge problem. They need to fix it. And the people like Terry Crews, I applaud this dude because he's trying to help his people. Because most of the rest
Mhm.
of us, we don't think of ourselves as our people. We think of ourselves as our country, right? We're Americans. We're a little bit unique because we're everybody. We're in Japan. When you think about your country, you think about Japanese, right? But I mean,
Right.
their community needs desperate help. They need desperate help. And Terry Crews is one of those guys trying to use his fame and celebrity to do something positive. And that's a good thing. And the fact that he's trying to point at that and make a point that, hey, we need mom and dads in our families. And seeing is that it is plus 70% of black women in America are single mothers. 70, it's actually I think 77%. It is
Yeah, it's high.
insane number because we
79.
know that if you need a mom and dad, you need it. And otherwise, the statistics of your success and happiness go way, way down. Now, I'm sure there's people here that grew up with single moms, love their single mom, and stuff like that. And I'm not knocking on women. I'm just saying you need a mom and dad. You do. And if we could put a situation where more people have moms and dads, it improves the life of everybody. And that's what Terry Crews is trying to do. And he's taking absolute incredible flack for it because, as we know, feminists really, 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 really want to destroy the home. They don't want mom and dads. They don't want men at all because they think they know best, even though the statistics tell them flat out they're wrong. Facts. Sorry.
You really want to rile them up. Tell them that single dads are better parents than single moms.
But they
Why do you
are.
like hearing
How
that? I
weird is
know.
that, dude? It's a weird. I
They
wouldn't
don't
expect
like
that.
that one.
Well, that
They
was
don't like that one.
that's a shocking statistic. I didn't expect that to be true either, but it is.
Yeah.
Right?
But it is.
Yeah.
In every metric, they're better parents. Single fathers are.
Now I'm surprised Denali didn't scream and yell at me during that.
I've actually really been enjoying watching Terry Crews get red pilled in real time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell this is always the conversion part, right? They tend to be a nice little male feminist, right? They're very they're non-threatening. They just want to be a good ally, but then they kind of pop their head up and they go, hold on, this one thing doesn't seem correct. And then they get absolutely swarmed for it, right? As soon as they pop their head up, they had to have their freaking opinion nailed back. And it's like, no, homophobe, racist. Everything they weren't accused of because they were a good ally, suddenly they get flooded with. And they start thinking, do I hang out with psychopaths? Because
The answer to
he's
that
just
question is
mentioned.
yes.
Yes, of course. Because now he's mentioning how it seems that the mob is freaking after him, right?
No, and that's what's
Yeah,
happening to
this
him,
is
and he is being red pilled as we see. That's happening. The
mhm,
homeless
mhm.
What's
liberal
it-
This is
says
how the red pill
maybe
happens, boys.
it is, and the homeless liberal is saying maybe I should bring this up in my class.
Oh
You
God.
should.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Because it's true. There's not a single thing I said it wasn't true. Not one thing I said was true. And a matter of fact, nothing I said was hateful. Matter of fact, what I have is pity.
No.
Right? I actually
Yes,
feel
sir.
really bad for him, because as Denali continually says, I am stuck in the '80s when it comes to America, and he's right. But when I grew up, when there was plenty of black people around me, Hispanic, Asians, I'm an American. I had all kinds of people around me, right? And
Mhm.
those dudes I grew up with, those black dudes in particular, they didn't have these problems. They weren't out there murdering each other in the street with guns. They had moms and dads. They were normal
Here's
people.
here's an anecdote I can tell you. My father, he in the '70s, he coached a junior high football team for one of the local schools. He was the coach, and his kids were. It was pretty much mostly black school. So his kids would make fun of the kids who were like that, who lived in
Yeah.
their
Oh
family
yeah.
was on welfare, all this stuff, and they tell them how they're it's terrible, it's horrible, blah blah blah, because it didn't used to be this way, and it shouldn't
No.
be this way, and everybody knows it, but no one will talk about it because this is what happens to them. This is exactly what happens every time they do. They
Yeah.
get
Well,
attacked.
we used to say things like, "Your mom wears combat boots," right? No, seriously, right? And it was picking on the single mom, or your mom is acting like a man, and she's not. She's it's the anti single mom thing. It's mean, but kids are mean. This is ooh, shock.
Right.
Children are mean.
And I think
Mhm.
that's where, the whole backlash and the whole thing moves because of those things. Because you take whatever you get when you're growing up, and you pass it to the next generation. So all that meanness reverts. Kind of like how the next generation, it's going to be ultra conservative because of everything that's happening now in this generation.
Mhm. But
So
it
it's
it
it's it's a cycle.
It
It's
is
a
a cycle,
cycle.
but it's interesting how it continues in the same way, though. Because when I was young, being a nerd, which I was, you get picked on for it. Now, I was a big bastard, so, they didn't pick on me for very long. But they picked on plenty of other people, right? Just for
Right.
being nerdish. And it's no different. These feminists are no different. They're still picking on the nerd. It's the same shit. It hasn't changed, right? It's just
Just the
the
issues.
words they're using are changing. But it's the same. It's
Yeah.
the same, right?
Yeah.
And ding ding, I know. I'm sorry. The homeless liberal
Hmm.
continues and says, "Go fund me to bring Chester to my class and yell at my teacher. I'd be proud to, but that would be a very expensive for
It's
GoFundMe. I do live in Japan."
speaking about like nerd culture and bullying and all that stuff. It's interesting because there was a big spat because some older people who, you know, like you, who grew up as a nerd and knew
Yeah.
what it was like back in the day to be actually genuinely bullied for it. They were talking about it and trying to talk about it, and of course, these people had to turn it into "you're just playing the victim. You're a white man. You don't know what it's like to blah 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 blah," blah, which they weren't talking about at all. They had nothing to do with what they were talking about,
Yeah.
but they have to attack because they have to keep their narrative going that white man bad, white
Yeah,
man
sure.
bad, white man can never be the victim.
Well, that's not new either.
No,
That's not, they talk about privilege, and I'll tell you what, we white dudes. Let me clarify that even more. White heterosexual dudes, right?
mm-hmm.
We do have a privilege. Do you want to know what it is? We know coming out the gate that no one's out there to help us. There's no special
Yep.
organization, there's no special group, there's no any kind of affirmative action for us in any way. And if we want to survive and we want to make something for ourselves, we have to go do it ourselves. We know this coming out the gate. That is our privilege, the fact that we are self-aware without choice.
In reality, that is a huge privilege. I mean,
It
let's be
is.
honest,
It
because it
is.
makes you get up and do it. You either do it or you don't eat. It's that simple.
Mhm.
So we don't have that choice. I mean, obviously we have social safety nets and things that'll keep people from starving to death, which is probably a good thing. But you get my meaning. You don't have much of a hand up. You have to get it yourself.
Well, that's not
This
even
notion that
necessarily true though, dude. I'll give you an
no, I know it's
example
not.
from my life. I'll give you an example. I was living in Hawaii, right?
Mhm.
And I was in between jobs for the longest period of my life. I'd never been out of a job that long. I mean, I've been working since I was 12, right? And but it was a couple of months, and I was just desperate to find a job. I was doing everything I could to pick in money, and I didn't have anything. I was really in a tight situation, so I figured, at least to feed my wife and baby, I would try to go get some food stamps at least to have some food in the house, right? It was pretty desperate for me, and I solved the situation. But I mean, it was my low point, right?
Mhm.
Financially, anyway. So I bit that bullet, and I went down to the whatever they call it, that department in the government, and I went to apply. You know what they said to me? You don't qualify. I'm like, well, I don't want to
Right.
qualify because you had a good job before. I said, yeah, but that was months ago. But you know what it really came down to, and she was honest with me, luckily, because back in those days they would be honest with you. Today you can't say anything. Is because I was
Mhm.
a white dude and my wife was Japanese. I don't qualify because I
Wow.
wasn't considered to be the poor color. Now
Yep.
this is a reality. That's what really happened to me. Now I got through it and I worked my way out, and I've found myself in a really good situation now. After decades of working hard, right? But that happened to me. That is real. And anybody who's listening, if you can tell anything from it, you got to understand how difficult that was for me to go down that office. That was complete acceptance of failure. I mean, that's just not me. You do not take handouts. I'm an old school New Englander, man. That was a hard thing for me to bite that bullet and did. But as a father, pride goes away quickly because you have a responsibility to your wife and your child. That is your responsibility, and pride be damned. But I bit that bullet,
Right.
went did that, and I got turned away because I was a white boy, right? That's the reality of it.
Incredible.
So I don't even hear about, oh, there's safety valves. No, there aren't. Not for white dudes. There's nothing for us, but yet
Well,
we
there
have the
are now.
privilege. Really,
There
where?
are now.
Where are things for if you're
There,
not
you
gay?
can
Where
get.
where is it?
I've, I've had food stamps before, Chester. You can get them as a white guy. Trust me, I've
All
done it.
right.
Um, but I wouldn't do it. I haven't done it in years, but I have done it. But it did used to be a lot harder. Obama, thank Obama for that. He expanded who can get food stamps and who can't to a ridiculous point that it put like almost a third of the country on them. But I'll be right back.
Okay. But anyway, I think we've stuck on this topic, which is nothing to do with comic books at all. But
Yeah.
I feel a little bit bad for Terry. I mean, he's been a little bit of overly liberal, but he's learning. And he's learning the hard way, which is unfortunate because, but I hope that Terry keeps continuing. I hope because him and other people like him that are trying to help improve the black community, they're necessary. These people are more important than any other of these SJWs talking about their nonsense. They have no value. They're not helping anything. They're not going to do anything good. People like Terry, they could do some good and they need support. So, I hope he pulls through this and I hope he keeps, more importantly, keeps doing what he's doing. But anyway, that's enough with that said. Let me come over here real quick to this thing you talk about while I'm bringing up. This is interesting little article here. Did you read this one, Denali?
Yeah, I couldn't make heads and tails of it.
All
It's
right.
like they're praising it and then they're not praising it. And they're like, this is great, but not great. It feels like a woman on her period having a bipolar episode.
Well, that's kind of what's happening here. But I mean, in essence, what they're trying to say is that Shazam, the dude who Chuck, he's very cool, right? This guy, and
Hmm.
the Shazam character is very cool. But the whole shtick of this movie is to make him a nerdy uncool, and who becomes cool is what they're really trying to talk about. And yeah, well, it's comedy, and it makes sense for a wider audience that this little kid, Billy Batson, is been given this amazing body. I mean, of course, he's going to be a goofball until if things get serious. And I hope they do the movie really well. I hope it's done perfectly. The trailers look good, but it is a fun looking movie. But yeah, this is a very confused thing. Let me come over here real quick though, and I'm going to come into here. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to come down there. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. There
You
it is.
lost it.
I found it.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now we're going to finish up our first hour as we always do. We're going to finish this up here, and we're going to talk about IndieCron. Of course, IndieCron is a sponsor of FanSpeak and a Pixel Trader. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got some cool merch going on here. He's got his new and up and coming stuff, which is cool. And of course, we'll see that there are some very interesting products out. This is in demand. We don't want that. We want this. We got Chaotic Flux, which you talked about. The Tribulation Force. I don't think we talked about that yet. Good Land, we talked about. Night Stalker, Kree Crawl, which it's probably going to have to be relaunched. We got George's Joe King here. It's starting to make a little bit of money. It's getting closer, George. It's getting you closer. We got Heroes relaunch, and they're starting to make a little bit of money. I hope they have success with that. That's another. There's two kids books right in a row there. That is awesome. Samurai and Dinosaurs. I know we have someone I think from this one coming up this Friday, and the next one, Forsaken God, in 2 weeks on FanSpeak. We're going to have these creators on to talk about Forsaken Gods. We have. Of course, Tales from the Stacks is doing real well, up to $7,000. Congratulations. We see that Tales from Beyond the Gate, the one we're involved with, is up to 4,700, getting close to that half point mark. We definitely like you to go check that out. We had Eric on the other day, and his Inktober. It was a very nice looking book, and he's almost at half what he needs. The Veil War we had on here with Draken came and talked to us, and et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of cool projects and stuff that are coming out. Here's Art T. Bears, Black and White. I can't wait to get that one. I know there's for me, T-Bird and Throttle was a really exciting one. We got Battle Made in Knuckle Bob, which is a really cool one from Kyung Lee. I'll probably see him today. He's usually on the Journey Quartered. But Anycron is cool because it has all these books you can come check out. Not only that, you can check out the creators' bios and you can learn about all the things that are coming up. And it's a great site. So we encourage you guys to go over and be part of that and support what's going on over there. And they're just check them out and see if it's something that's interesting to you because there are some really good projects going on over there. This Chaotic Flux for one we thought was really nice art in that. So, anything you want to add to that, Denali?
No, not at this moment. It's going to be exciting times. New wave coming.
I think so. Yeah, no, we're coming into, as many of them had said, phase three is coming. Anyway, I'm going to switch over here real quick, just for a little bit, and just kind of have a chat amongst ourselves in the Hangouts. But what we're going to do in the back end here is we're going to set up the tabletop simulator. Now, Booster, are you still about, or or did you fall back to sleep, or is there alcohol involved, or what's going on? All right then,
I
there it
I
is.
think he did say he had to go BRB real quick.
That's fine. He'll be back. But we are going to be starting up the tabletop simulator here, and I have enough. Hopefully, Kenzie will come back. Oh, excuse me. Pope Fire will come back, and we will we will play that game that we were talking about today. Now, of course, on recently we've been talking about board games over here, and we've been playing board games. And today, what I want to do is possibly play one, and then or maybe talk about one. The one we're looking at playing today is Apples to Apples. Now, has anyone actually played this game here? No.
I
All right.
didn't hear
No,
what you said because you roboted real hard
yeah,
for me.
yeah, you were roboting.
Oh,
But
did I? Well, I'm
that being
starting the
said,
program in the back, so
no problem. But
yeah.
being that said, I'll head out now. I got
Mhm.
another story to write, so I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, dudes.
All right, dude. We'll talk to you later. All right. Now, Apples to Apples is a very interesting game because it's a party game. It's a little bit different than maybe some of the games we've been talking about on here already. And but what Apples to Apples is it's one of those games that you kind of need a minimum of 4 people to play, which I'm not sure if we're going to have. Hopefully, Pofire will come back. But it's a great game to have in your closet, and that's what I've been talking about, right? Um, is having your board game closet become more fulfilling, more interesting. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I grew up in a time where Wednesday night was board game night. It was a very standard thing. It was a standard thing across America, and everyone had a board game closet. The problem was the board game closet was kind of thin when I was young. I mean, we had what do we have, Thunder? We had Monopoly. We had what else did we have?
Oh, sorry, probably.
Yeah,
Um,
Archeesy.
just that kids games like shoots and ladders and stuff,
Yeah,
and
Mousetrap.
obviously like the super classics like chess and stuff like that. But
Hungry Hippos.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
But we had like most American families. When I was growing up, we had our board game closet, and we had those standard games, and we every Wednesday we'd play a game. Whether my dad was there or not. My dad's kind of a military government guy, so he wasn't always around. But we played nevertheless. And board gaming was always fun for me. And then what happened? Something very interesting happened in the '90s, early '90s actually. A game came over from Germany, right? And of course, we Americans, everyone says, "Oh, Americans are so arrogant." Well, I guess we have every culture has their arrogance, but Americans actually, the best word for an American is ignorant as far as the rest of the world goes.
hmm
Because, to be fair, you never have to leave the States. You can find anything you want to find in America. So
hmm
most Americans don't know a lot about what's going on outside our borders, or even outside their own state borders, to be honest with you. But a game came over from Germany. It was called The Settlers of Catan, and it was like this revolution that happened in America. And before that, the only actually kind of cool games we had were like from, for instance, like Dungeon, which came out from TSR, and Hero Quest. There was a couple of those things that the Europeans called Ameritrash, the bastards. But we had a couple of them. But when Catan came over, a revolution took off, not only in America, but coming into America. Those German publishers saw that, hey, we there's a market over in America for what we do, and you saw this flood come in, and this began the board game renaissance, which has turned into currently the board game golden age, which is really what's going on. And there are thousands of games now, and I do not exaggerate.
Hmm.
thousands, and many of them are really, really good. And they're very different from what you probably grew up with, and that's what I'm trying to, I'm trying to offer to you. I'm trying to show to you is what a board game can be. Now, some of you know that, and some of you don't. But that's the purpose of us playing board games and showing them off. Now, when I was a kid, around that similar time, some of the games I started playing that I really loved that were different than the standard ones were things like Axis and Allies or Fortress America. Now, those are fun games, and I really enjoyed them, but you've got to be dedicated to play that game. I mean, that's 4 to 6 hour game, right? I mean,
Hmm.
and most people don't have that patience. Now, with the European games coming in, what we saw was initially long games with, of course, the worker placement and cube collection type of games are quite long. But they saw that the Americans didn't have patience for it, so we saw an adaptations coming, and we saw more and more games being broke down to that hour or less, and that's where things really took off. And I think pretty much anybody can sit down for an hour and play a game. Now, those are my experiences and my intentions. Now, Thundero, tell us a little bit about your board gaming experience.
Um, I don't have as much. I don't have nowhere near as much as you. I've played a lot of different games. I've played, including the ones that they would call Ameritrash. Like Risk in them, which I love, by the way.
Yeah, Risk is fun.
But there's a lot of. I remember I went over to when I was real young. I was probably 12 or 13. My parents and I went over to Israel, but then on the way back, we stopped in the UK. Our flight took us up through Europe to the UK, back over to the States.
Hmm.
And while we were there, we got to stay there an extra day, so we just kind of hung out in the UK. And there was a board game there called Outrage,
Oh yeah.
and I had to have it. I don't know why, but I just had to have that game. So I made my parents buy it for me, and it was spectacular. I didn't have many people to play it with, unfortunately, but it was a lot of fun. There's a ton of them. I don't even have them anymore, unfortunately, thanks to a lovely ex of mine. But I used to have a ton of board games. I used to really love board games. I just didn't have anyone to play them with. Nobody else liked them.
No one else liked them, really.
Not really. My father and I would play sometimes, but we would usually just play chess.
Oh, well, I see. But
Oh,
so
where did
tell
everyone
us.
go?
Oh, well, with the people, well, because we've gone into the board game section, so it's a different group. But tell us a little bit about Outrage. How does that play? What is it?
I'll be honest, I barely remember. It was the basic premise of it had something to do with the Crown of England. I actually we where I saw it was when we were going on the tour to go look at the Crown Jewels in the Tower of London. They had a board game there,
Hmm.
and I can't remember what it was about now. It's been so long since I've had it. But the basic premise was it had something to do with somebody. I think somebody stealing the Crown Jewels, or that was the goal of the game, something to that effect. I cannot remember for the life of me off the top of my head. It's been years. It's been 20 years since I played it.
I see. Well, let me give a demonstration here real quick. Now my collection, I have, I don't know, nearly 200 games, I guess, and that's not counting my library, which just my game and role playing library is, I don't know, 300, 400 books, I guess. I don't know, a lot. But
Hmm.
uh, I'm a little bit limited because here in Japan, which as you know, I've been here 2 decades, right?
Hmm.
Here in Japan, getting games is difficult and the shipping is ridiculous. I often end up paying more for the game than for shipping than the game itself, right?
Wow.
So I have to be very picky. I can't just get every game I want.
Mm.
So what I've tried to do while in my building my collection is get the best example of every different type of mechanic that I can, right? And it's interesting that there
Hmm.
are that many mechanics that I actually have that many board games, right? Because I don't really double up on mechanics, right? I really try to find the best example of it. But what I want to show real quick, and hello, John. What I want to show real quick is
Hi.
the newest game that I've got in here. Now this one right here is I just came in the mail like a week ago, I think, and it's called the King's Guild. Now this was a Kickstarter that I backed, and I've told you guys before I've been doing Kickstarter for about a decade, and I got almost all my games through Kickstarter. It's oddly the best option for me where I live. Strangely enough. But
Hmm.
this one right here is a new game that came out, and it's a lot of fun. This right here, what you're trying to do because they all have their theme, right? And in this one, the theme is that the king is dying or dead, and there is like this council of merchants that will vote in the next leader, and they're coming to the capital. So you have a short period of time to prove that you are worthy to become the new elected king. Right, is the theme.
Hmm.
But as with most games, the theme doesn't matter as much as the mechanics. Now, if you can get a game that its mechanics are tight and fun, and it drips with theme, like say Lords of Waterdeep, like we did the other day, Thundaro,
Hmm.
you got a hit on your hands, right? And this one I think
Heck,
has
it's awesome.
potential because the mechanics are amazing. You're collecting and building, and it's a kind of standard kind of collection building game mechanically. But the theme is very heavy. It's well done in this game, and finding a combination too is kind of hard. So I think this is
Yeah.
a fun game. I'm glad I have it. My wife and I are enjoying it. It's a game that could be played really well with two or really well with four. And that's another aspect of things. Now, John, um, uh, are you a board gamer at all? Would you and your family?
No, not at all.
Not at
Other
all.
than, Monopoly, that kind of thing. Nope, not at all.
Well, now you have a little baby, yeah. And
Hmm.
you are planning more kids or just the one?
Maybe one more.
Yeah, two sounds good. You want to have for me, I had girl, boy, done. You know, finished, replaced us.
Oh, that'd be great.
It would be great, yeah. So, you're gonna have yourself a couple kids, as they get older. Yours is still really, really young now. But as they get older, having board games in the house and playing board games with a kid is a great family night because, you have to build family, and there's many ways to do that. One is always eating dinner together and taking trips and going out and having family time. And but you can't always do that, right? And having a board game at night is a
Hmm.
great way to build that family cohesion, right? And of course, it gets the kids learning about social interaction and being patient and using their brain, et cetera, et cetera. It has all those aspects too. And I would suggest, John, as your kids get older, they're still young now, but as your kids grow up and get to that age around, elementary school, that you go actually to a board game store and have a look. And maybe ask some questions and get something better than Monopoly because let's be honest, Monopoly is torture.
Oh, I couldn't agree less.
Yeah, well,
I actually don't hate Monopoly. It depends on how you play it. I don't mind playing it with faster rules too. That's nice.
well, yeah, but have you ever played with children?
Oh well, no,
Yeah, it's a
thankfully.
nightmare, dude. And I'm just saying,
And I
there's
did, by
so
the
many
way,
cool
I found
games.
that game. I found out it is Steal the Crown Jewels. That's what it was about. It's
Steal
about
the
stealing the
crown
crown
jewels.
jewels.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
But no, there are so many cool games you can get, John. You should check into it. And living in America, they're really cheap. You can get a lot of board games, 20, $50, and you got a new game, right, to play with the kids and
Hmm.
play with your friends, etc. Because especially, when you're single, you go out and you have fun time. You do things like a Beltane, like I was explaining the other day. Um, but when you get married and have kids, things change, right,
Give me this
John?
dang Beltane. Beltane.
That's true, yeah.
It is. Now, Booster doesn't understand that because he's still a wild and crazy, sowing his wild oats young man. But
Huh?
the rest of us understand. Oh no, we're just talking about your amazing sexual exploits. That's all. No, no, nothing.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're
How the
welcome.
women chase him. It's amazing.
Yes, yes.
Mm, mm, mm.
Now, Booster, you living over there? I know you're a tabletop player and with an RPG. But do you play any board games over there, dude?
Nope.
So just D&D.
Yeah,
Yeah. And how long you been playing D&D?
a year or so now, maybe two. It's been a while.
I see. Hey, do you have you have
Going for a
you
long campaign.
have you learned the game yet, or are you
Nope.
still kind of just floating?
I just like to do a cowboy accent and roll lots of damage.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do you role play?
Well, yeah, of course I role play. I just said I do a cowboy voice.
That doesn't mean you're role playing. You're just doing an
That's
accent. It's
role
not role
play.
playing.
It's absolutely role playing.
Okay. All right. What
He
kind of
role plays
character
as
you
a man.
playing there, Booster? What's your character?
A cowboy samurai.
So you're a fighter?
I'm a fighter ranger mix spellless.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how many members in your party?
Oh, 4 people.
4 people. Okay.
Yeah.
You hesitated on that, but all right. Now, so you get your fighter ranger. I'm assuming you have a cleric in the party.
A bard and a paladin.
Okay, so you guys must die a lot. Do you have a wizard?
No, we don't die a lot. The bard and paladin can heal,
I said no, they
and
can, but they're
a
not a
wizard,
cleric.
yes.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, it's because your DM is soft. I get it. Okay, and that's
Yeah.
fine. It depends on how you want to have fun, right? Some people like to
Actually,
have.
our DM keeps trying to throw ridiculously powerful things at us, and we just keep stomping them.
Oh,
Our
okay.
characters are OP, Chester.
I see. So your GM doesn't know how to manage things. Oh, that's all right. He's probably young too, right?
Oh my God, Chester, you're such a dick.
Well, I mean, the being this is the main problem with tabletop role playing games.
It's just when you're older, you just understand how to DM better than the peasants.
Of course I do. I have 4 decades in, dude. But yeah, leave me alone, Booster. I'm being an elitist. Come on.
Yes, I was trying to say that, but Booster was having a seizure over there.
Nah, it doesn't matter how you play as long as you're having fun. That's the whole point. And I bring that up because John is here, and we have a campaign going on Friday nights, don't we, John? And John has left the building.
Yes, that's right, Chester.
Yeah,
It's a well-oiled machine over here.
it is a well-oiled machine. I do like how John now has the Family Guy icon. I think that's much better. I prefer it. Yeah.
What a
Uh,
Simpsons one.
how you doing? Yeah, okay, or The Simpsons is probably better. That's more accurate. Thank you very much, Booster. Who's being elitist now? Huh? 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 So, John, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Now, we are playing that D&D game on Friday, but you do have a little bit of experience with tabletop role playing, which, of course, is a board game, right? I mean, board game simply means table, right? So tell
Right.
me, what kind of experience did you have before RPG stuff? What did you play? Who were you with, etc.
Well, honestly, I have none. This thing, we had now I'm a big fan of Monopoly, just because we do a lot of homebrew rules and stuff like that, and that's a tradition in my household that I do on my birthday. I invite all my friends and cousins and come over and we play marathon Monopoly games, and the games usually we have them end in about 45 minutes tops.
I
Just
see.
because if you're playing it correctly, you can get people bankrupt pretty quickly.
You can.
So if you're
Yeah,
not
you
playing with
can.
kids,
Yeah.
if you're not playing with kids and you're not being easy on people, the game's pretty quick.
Now,
And so we'll play $20 a game and marathon it until somebody wins the jackpot.
Oh, so you literally gamble with the Monopoly?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I've
But
never heard of
I
that.
just
That's
I enjoyed it so much, and I as time went on, as soon as 5e came out, it got real popular, and I started hearing about it a lot, and that's when I decided to go into a game shop and actually take the plunge into bought the rule book and decided to get a group together.
Now, do you use the standard Monopoly or one of the many, many variants?
No, standard, but we use our own tokens. We have some people have the tokens from, like, I know my token I use is a little silver Pikachu from the Pokemon edition of Monopoly.
Oh, that's cool.
But everybody brings their own tokens.
Actually, I think my favorite variant of Monopoly is the Cthulhu version.
Oh, I haven't played that one.
Yeah, that's cool. The miniatures are the best, actually. But no, Monopoly. I never heard any people gambling it. Now, I used to play cribbage a lot, and on the corners we'd put down money, and and of course we'd gamble at the end. So there was gambling involved with the cribbage, but I think that's the only board game type of gambling I've ever done. Have you ever done any board game gambling, Thundero? No. Once again, the
Sorry, I was
well-oiled
muted.
machine.
No, sorry, I was muted. I board game gambling. I don't think board game. I think I pretty much just stuck to cards.
Yeah,
for
well,
that.
sure, that's standard. Yeah. How about you, Booster? You do any gambling over there in New Zealand? I mean, guys have nothing else to do.
Sometimes I do like the gambling in the Pokemon game. You know, there's like a little center where you put in a coin and you get like one coin in the Pokemon game.
Wow.
Booster, you hear that noise?
Yeah.
You hear that? You know what that is?
Yeah.
That's me smacking myself in the face. I am literally face palming because of what you just said.
Oh.
Okay, well that's not that isn't interesting at all. Why are you so sleepy? Where's all the fun? You haven't been fun in like a week or two, dude. What's going on?
I'm tired.
How are you tired? You got
I
a
had
full night's sleep, didn't you?
not really.
What do you mean not really? What do you consider a full night's sleep? And please don't say 12 hours.
8 hours.
Okay, and how many did you get? Just curious.
7.
Eh, oh shit, dude.
Oh, I haven't slept 7 hours in years.
No, me
Seems
either, dude. Oh goodness, dude. That's funny. Yeah, no, I'm happy when I get 6. Yeah, 6 is a good night actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. I do apologize if you missed that one little hour of sleep there, Booster Bird. But you gotta
Oh,
get used to it.
dear.
It's a man's world now. You have to step into the man's world.
Man's world is rubbish.
Yeah, I suppose so. But it is what we have to deal with, and we don't get as many sick days either. Oh goodness, get off the politics. Anyway, John, do you have tabletop simulator? Excuse me. Do you have tabletop simulator?
Apologies, I do not.
You do not. Okay. Do you know where Pope Fire is, Booster?
I do not.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can't do what I wanted to do then. It's all right. We'll just leave it out. Leave it as it is. Maybe next week I'll be able to have everybody in here. But because I want to demonstrate apples to apples, which is it's probably the number 2 party game in the world, I'd say. It's very, very popular, easy to buy, cheap, and it's very, very fun. But I think I want to show it anyway. Can you go ahead and bring up the tabletop simulator and bring up apples to apples, please?
Now I've tried playing apples to apples before, and maybe I don't get the rules, but I couldn't figure out how to have fun with the thing.
I'm going to explain it. I'll show you. Yeah. So you doing that, Booster?
I'm on it.
Sweet. Just let me know when you do, and I'll join your table, and I'll share with everybody. Now, apples to apples is a very simple game. What you get is you get 7 cards in your hand. All right. Now, on those cards, it's going to have nouns, or it's going to have proper names, or stuff like that. It's just mainly nouns and such. And then there's a green deck, and each round you have a person who's the judge. Right. And then, of course, the next round it goes to the left, like with every other game. And the judge is going to turn over the top card of the green deck. And on the green deck, there's going to be some kind of adjective there. Maybe it's happy or sexy or something like this. And it'll give a little description of what things fall within that adjective's domain. And then each person who is playing is going to choose one of the cards in their hand that they feel best displays that emotion that has been put out. And then everyone's going to put them down secretly. And then they're going to all be turned over randomly. And the judge is going to look at all of them. And then the judge is going to pick what they think is the best version, best example of that. Now, that sounds kind of boring, but it's a party game. And therefore, shenanigans, do ensue. Now, you are under Tittles, right?
I am on the Tittles.
So let me find the Tittles.
Find the Tittles.
I
Chester.
found the Tittles. Here they are. And then I have to do a password too, which I believe is Tittles1, right?
Oh, don't tell the peons our password.
Peons. I didn't say anything, peons.
Oh my god.
All right,
All the
now here we
disgusting
are.
Christians will want to join.
Now, Thundaro's already in here. Thank you for showing me up like that. I do appreciate it. But here you go. I'm
You're
going to
welcome.
take my green as usual because I'm green. It's my color. All right. So I will go first, and I will demonstrate this. So each of you, all of us, grab 7 cards.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Red or green ones doesn't matter.
Red ones. Leave the green ones be.
Did you bloody shuffle them? Oh my god.
It doesn't really matter. Okay. Now, like I said, this is better with more people, and this is a game you really want to have men and women together. It really plays better when you're at a party with a mixed group than it does just a bunch of dudes. It's not going to be as fun. But I just want to demonstrate this because this is one of those games you should have in your board game closet. I mean, if you're going to have parties, have people over, you could even have fun with the kids. But this is more of a party with friends over, like Christmas party or something like that. It's a fun thing to pull out and enjoy with a big group of people because you can play up, I think, up to 10 or something like this. You can play a lot of people. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take this first card,
Wow.
and oh, goodness gracious, come on now. I'm going to take the first card here, and I'm going to turn it over. All right, and then we're going to look at it here, and it says crazed. Crazed is insane, wild, or deranged. All right. Now, what you two guys are going to do is you're going to pick a card in your hand that best meets this requirement, which is crazed. And just go ahead. Don't put it face up yet, please. Don't do that. Flip it over. Put it in a pile. All right. And you throw one to Thundero. All right. And then I'm going to pick these up. And I'm going to shuffle them. Why isn't shuffling? How do I shuffle again? I thought I just shook it.
You can also highlight them both and hit G.
All right, thank you. So G.
G for group.
All right. Then
G
I'm
for
just going
group,
to turn these 2 cards over real quick. All right. And then I'm going to look at them and I'm going to make a decision. You guys be quiet. All right. So Walt Disney. Okay. Or Jim Carrey. Well, obviously Jim Carrey wins this one, right? And
Hooray!
therefore, what happens is whose is Jim Carrey?
Me.
Okay. So you take the green card right here and you put it in front of you. Right? The first person who has 8 green cards in front of them wins. Simple. Finish.
Oh.
Right? Now,
So this is less offensive cards against humanity.
it is where Cards Against Humanity came from. All right? Now, of course, you guys draw 1 card to get yourself up to 7. We discard. And we continue. Now, of course, with this right here, the explanation doesn't sound interesting. But as things go on, a lot of interaction and joking goes on. People complain, "Why did you pick this one or that one?" And this is where the fun play comes in, is the interaction between the group. And sometimes the ones that come off are a little bit inappropriate, which is like Cards Against Humanity, right? Now this one right here is perfect. Right. So go ahead and throw what you think out for perfect. Okay.
I think this kind of does go into my whole I'm a fuddy-duddy. This is why I don't like this game, I guess.
Well,
I guess you are a fuddy-duddy.
It is about being goofy. It is. That's where the fun comes in with the interaction between people, right? But this isn't displaying it as being fun. I'm just kind of explaining how the rules work here. But trust me, when you get a big group of people, this is funny. Now, of course, my word here is perfect. And one of you said French wines, and the other one said Clint Eastwood. Well, obviously, I'm choosing Clint Eastwood. So
me.
So there you go. So
You should have
take
chosen
the
Walt
green.
Disney the other time. Darn
What-
it.
I
Walt
do
Disney's
apologize.
crazed.
And there,
I really like this game. I keep winning.
you do keep winning. But this is how the game goes, right? Now, and sometimes it gets really funny. Now, if you're playing with a bunch of adults, especially like young couples or young singles, even having a game that is, like Cards Against Humanity, which is the same game basically, right? Is going to be a little bit more fun because Cards Against Humanity is really dirty, right? This game is just suggestively so, occasionally. But it is just one of those things that works really well in a party. And out of party games, the two that I would really suggest would be Apples to Apples or Times Up. Now, the problem with Times Up is you have to have a group of people who are from the same culture. Now, if you're all in America and you're all Americans, no problem. You'll love Times Up. But if you have a mixed group, it's not going to go well because it's very, very much American culture. And if you don't know American culture, you're not going to get it. But most of you listening probably don't have that problem. But
Give us an
Times Up.
example of what you mean.
Well, okay. What Times Up works is like this. Everyone is paired off, so you have to have an equal number of people, right? And I think that game could play up to 10 as well. So you got up to 5 groups, 5 pairs, right? And what you do is there's 3 rounds, okay? And it's the same cards that are involved each round, right? And it flips back and forth. And you have one of the members is giving a hint and the other member of the pair is trying to quickly guess, and you're trying to get through as many as you can, and you get points for every one that's correct. Right now, the first round you can use words, sounds. You can use anything you want. The second round you can only use sounds or hints, and the third round it just comes down to gestures. Right. So not only during the game are you trying to establish an understanding between the two of you of, say, Hawkeye Pierce. What's the best way to represent him? Maybe just point to your eye as you say mash, mash, mash. And the other one's going to guess. And you try to do it very quickly because there's literally a sand timer, and you have a very short period of time, and then each group does this, and you keep going through and through, and it's quite hilarious because people are screaming and yelling at each other. It's like, God damn it, that's a horrible, da, da, da. It's fun. That is just a hilarious game to play, but it is very culturally specific.
Sir,
What?
Pandora's
Booster,
missing
stop
my
throwing your
coin.
cards all over the place. What are you doing?
No, it was Pandora.
this.
Yes, sir.
all
Pandora
these
trying
cards.
to frame me. No.
What are you doing? We stopped playing the
Pandora's
game.
picking
I was just
on me.
demonstrating it. Now, what I would like, Booster, if you could do me a favor, can you bring up either Dominion or Legendary? One of the others, please.
Dominion or Legendary?
Dominion would be the best one. If you could bring that up
Okay.
first, that would be the best one.
If I can just happen to find it, I'll go. Oh my God, Pandora, stop making noise. I'll punch your face. I swear to God.
But those are kind of the party games. The way the party games work is about playing off the interaction with the people in the room, right? But they can be a lot of fun. And I'm not sure how often do you guys have guests over to your house?
Never. I hate people in my house. Stay out of my house, people.
Okay. How about you, John? No comment from the John.
Oh, I think he left.
He's sick of us.
He's sick of us.
He's out.
Okay. All right. Now this is Dominion, yeah. Now, this is another really good example. I'm going to demonstrate this here for you. This game it's not the first one, but this is the game that made deck building famous, right? And of course, there are much better deck building games. I think Legendary, I think, is probably maybe my favorite. But this is a really interesting. We're going to choose. We're not going to play the game. I'm just going to talk about it. But we're going to choose one of these sets, and it's going to fill up this area here in the middle. And what happens is during the game, you start out with 7 coins, and you started with 3 of these estates, right? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to every round you take all the 5 cards in your hand, you lay them down, and you try to buy as much as you can on the board and to make your hand better. So you're literally building a deck. And what those cards are going to do, like some of them will say draw 2 cards. So you have 5 in your hand, you put that down, and you draw 2 more out of your deck. Others will say plus 1 action, because normally you can only play 1 action card. Well, now you can play 2, et cetera, et cetera. And what you're trying to do is build this engine that allows you to get as much money as you can, because as you go along, these estates that you see here, because the idea is you're a young noble and you're trying to build up your property and become the most powerful noble, and et cetera, et cetera. There is no theme in this game. Nevertheless, if you can buy these province cards over here, those are worth 6 victory points at the end of the game, whereas 3 and 1 here. So you're trying to buy these things, and they have a cost down the bottom, which I'll show you. This is 2, gold. This is 5 gold, and of course the big one is 8. And we keep going back and forth, trying to get that engine that is our hand working more and more efficiently. Sometimes you have the opportunity to throw things out of your hand, get them out of your deck completely, and that's a very helpful thing. It makes it quicker, right? But the problem with this game, the interesting thing, is as you keep building your hand and you start buying these land properties over here, what happens is these things do nothing for you. They don't give you no cards, they give you no money, they give you nothing. So they're clogging your hand. So you have to think of how best to manipulate things. And of course, curses come in, which are -1 points at the end of the game as well. But this is a perfect example um, of what a deck building game is. And I think there's probably no mechanic that is more popular than deck building right now, because it's really cool. With the legendary game, what you're doing is you're trying to build your deck up, but you're building your deck up with superheroes, right? So say there's a whole bunch of superheroes that are available in the beginning of the game, and say you decide, okay, well I'm gonna try to buy as many Spider-Man and Wolverine, and I'm gonna go with their mechanics, and I'm gonna use them to try to do the best I can in the game. Now, the interesting thing that's different about Legendary over this game is this is a one to one game, meaning I am versus you. We're all trying to win the game. There's no cooperation. Legendary, we're all playing against the game. And one of these days, I want to get a full crew in here to play it and get it all set up and explained beforehand. But one of these days, we are going to play Legendary for you, because that is a fun game. And it's, of course, it's superheroes, it's Marvel superheroes, right? They have a DC game as well, but it sucks. But the Marvel one is really good. But have you either one of you guys ever played a deck builder before?
I don't think
Yu-Gi-Oh.
so. Well,
That's not a deck builder. That
I
that
built decks in it, Chester.
You constructed a deck beforehand and then played with it, yes. But this is building your deck as you go. It's very similar. Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering, I think, is probably more universally understood, but there is similarities. Whereas before the game, you build your Magic deck and you try to take your construction against the person you're fighting, right? Which is fun, right? In this game, you're doing the same thing, but you're building it as you play the game, right? Is what is the difference. And in the middle here, depending which set they see there's many sets here. Depending on what set you're playing with, you're going to have different options to choose from the middle to build your deck, and they do various things. Now, this is the most bland version of it, I think, but I wanted to bring this one up because it's the one that made it famous. It's the one that introduced deck building to the world, and and it does it really well, and therefore it has a huge following, very loyal to this game. Nevertheless, this is another mechanic that I wanted to talk a little bit about, and we'll try to play someday. And the Wolfman says, "What's going on?" Well, the Wolfman, we're just talking about board games, or I am anyway. Booster is zero help.
Hmm?
as usual.
As
As
usual.
per usual. Yes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm just kidding, dude. But it's interesting that the
You
crew
hurt me this way.
the crew that's around me, you guys really aren't board gamers, but you're interested. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm assuming
yeah.
Thundera. Yeah.
Definitely.
And I'm hoping that a lot of you guys are interested in well as well. And what I'd like to do is to have more and more people that are in the chat go and get Tabletop Simulator and come and join us, and we could play together, and we can do games together. Join us.
Mm-hmm.
Be part of
Only
us.
if you consent.
Only if you consent, yes.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't want to stay on too long because we're not going to play a game tonight. Where I just was kind of talk about board games in general. Now, do you guys have anything that interests you, or do you have any questions about board games or anything like that that we could discuss? Thundera, why don't you go ahead and start?
No, Booster definitely has these. This is definitely something Booster has.
Board
Mhm,
games?
mhm.
I don't think so.
Secret Hitler.
Yeah,
Well,
he really wants to play
He
Secret
wants to play,
Hitler,
but
I
we
really-
need a big crew for that, though. We need a real big crew.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a good 7 people or
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
but
yeah.
oh, it's so good.
Yeah, you can't play
It's
that game with a
so
small number.
fun.
Yeah.
I love deception-based games. Can we play something like Ultimate Werewolf with less people?
Not really, but that's the same type of game as
Yeah.
Secret Hitler. These are games where I don't know if any of you guys played Werewolf when you were a kid, just amongst your friends. Did you guys ever play Werewolf?
No.
Mm-mm.
The eye closing game the kids play. Well, we used to play it all the time. They've just taken that concept and put it into kind of a card system. Took away the randomness really. Uh, but those kind of games are a lot of fun, and they're playing off the same concept as party games, which you talk about apples to apples. It's the interaction with people is more fun than the game itself, right? And of course, Secret Hitler is the exact same thing. It's people getting pissed at each other and what'd you do?
Mhm.
You lied or what have you? Because there's a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
lying in those games. No, I'm not the spy. I'm not the werewolf. No, no.
Sometimes it's just pure accident, that something bad happens, and then someone who's manipulative can screw with the others, place the seeds of doubt, and be like, no, I definitely think that guy's the fascist. I think he's
Hmm.
the evil one. It's
Yeah,
it's a beautiful game,
and they are a lot of fun.
lovely experience.
Now, DeWolf says, "What's the best way to randomize plays in a board game?" Well, it's interesting you say that because over the past couple of decades, the main focus has been done to remove randomization as much as possible. Right? It's quite the opposite of that because a lot of the old games, like when I was a kid, like Parcheesi, you're basically relying on dice rolling. And how random is that? Right? There's no skill really involved in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So having a dice mitigation or some kind of mitigation in the game that removes luck and makes it about skill has been a main focus in the industry for, like I said, a couple of decades, and that's a good thing, right? Because having dice, we all, and if you haven't done it before, go play a game that has a bunch of dice and roll dice because rolling dice is fun. Having a handful of dice and throwing them across the table is a lot of fun, right? But so having that mechanic, having dice in your game is fun. You want to have them, but you have to mitigate them somehow. You can't have them just pure luck because then it doesn't mean anything. You have to have skill based things. Dice Chester, a six-sided cube. It was a trolling question. I know it was due, but I took it seriously, and I much prefer 20-sided cubes. Thank you very much. Of course, it wouldn't be cubes, I guess, but you know
Yeah, it's an interesting shaped cube.
it is. But I much prefer 20-sided or 8-siders. Anything but a six-sider. That's so boring. Go play Yahtzee. And okay, he's upset and he's thrown flipped the board. That's an interesting thing. Flipping the table is a long time board game meme. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually flip a table. Have you guys?
I have not.
Well, no, because that would be really rude.
It would be. Now,
Yes.
have either one of you guys actually played Monk? Oh, goodness gracious, Munchkin. Anybody?
Munchkin?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Now, we have games that have the standard game, and then there's just tons of themes laid on top of them. Like John was talking about Monopoly earlier, right? And Monopoly has, geez, what kind of theme Monopolies have you guys seen in America? I've been gone for a long time.
Everything.
Yeah,
It's a pop culture thing. There's a monopoly of it.
exactly.
Mhm.
Right. I actually think I saw a Doctor Who Monopoly once.
Yep.
Like I said, the Cthulhu one is my favorite. But Munchkin is a game that comes out of Steve Jackson Games, and if you any of you role players know with GURPS and stuff like that, you know who Steve Jackson is, or if you ever played Ogre or any of that kind of stuff. But Munchkin is a very similar game he created long ago, and he just brought up Munchkin. There you go. And it is the most simple generic thing you can think of, but they have a Munchkin themed just like Monopoly, anything you can think of. It's just ridiculous how many different munchkins they have. And interestingly, out of all of those, my favorite one is actually the Marvel one. And it's a lot of fun. Now, Munchkin is very, very simple here. See if I can remember off the top of my head. I think we all take a certain number of cards and then we play them and we're trying to move up this board to get to the end. I'd have to go read the rules again, but we should play Munchkin once sometime. I'll have to read the rules again, but it's a very simple game. It's a lot of fun too. This is another kind of game that it is kind of a dice rolling, or actually not a dice rolling, but a card playing game that allows you to try to move up the board. But a lot of the fun of this game comes from yelling and screaming at each other because you're constantly screwing each other over. because a lot of your cards you play are not necessarily for yourself. You can, but they're actually to screw the person next to you or another person on the table over by making them throw things away or move back or have to fight more monsters, et cetera, et cetera. It's a hilarious game, albeit simple. And Marvel Munchkin. Yeah, no, Munchkins. Marvel Munchkin's my favorite. I like the mechanics in it. It's really, really, actually some of the best art I've seen in a Marvel game. Actually, it's a really beautiful game. Anyway, I think I've probably beat this horse to death. Since nobody else has any interest or comments whatsoever about board games, I guess we'll probably just end this.
Uh,
Um,
uh, yeah, I don't.
yeah, I know you don't, dude.
I
I'm the only one
don't.
here that seems to know board games, and I don't want to just keep talking and talking and talking. But I think next week, maybe we should, because I wanted to do Apple to Apple as a group today, but I guess we just don't have enough to really do it properly. So maybe next week we'll play Munchkin here. I'll go over the rules again. I haven't played this in years. And I will go over the rules and we'll play it again so you can get a look at Munchkin, because it's one of those games that like any board gamer has in their closet. It's like if Monopoly. Sorry, everybody's got a Munchkin in their closet, whatever the theme may be. So anyway, Thunder, you got anything else you want to say today? And I've lost him too.
If
Oh
it does,
goodness,
he's sick of you.
he is.
No,
He
I'm
is.
here.
He never loved
I
you.
keep muting myself because I don't want to be rude.
Pandora, Pandora
I
never
don't
loved you. You only
No.
need me, Chester.
I know.
You don't need him.
I'm just very tired suddenly. I don't know what happened. I just got really tired.
Oh, did you only have 7 hours sleep?
No,
Oh
I only had about
God.
5 hours sleep because I'm an
There you
adult booster.
Yes, that's okay.
What?
Booster's learning to adult. He's learning
he's adulting slowly.
slowly adulting.
Adulting. You call yourself adult and you refer to it as adulting. All right.
Yeah, well,
I'm not taking advice from either of you.
all right, fine. That's probably a good idea. Yeah, I love how your guys are having your own fun. Of course, I'm over here in the Hangouts now. But if you guys can't see, they're over on the tabletop simulator, and they have pencils, and they're just scribbling like a bunch of kids. And Booster's writing bad words. Oh my. But anyway, thank you guys all for coming and joining us
John
today.
TIE Fighter.
That was a lot of fun going over the news as usual. Keep in mind here in about well, it's supposed to be in 10 minutes, but we know they won't be on time. We do have the Blacklist Universe's Drone Recorded Pro Edition, so go check that out. Of course, tomorrow we'll have our normal Comics News Day, and we'll also be doing our Fan Edition Drone Recorded, which is a lot of fun. And if any of you guys are
Some might
interested in
say
doing
more fun.
Oh, well, some might say. And if you guys are interested in doing board games with us or getting involved with that, please let us know. Because, here, Bugbear's Basement, we shift between things, and I think we're probably going to be shifting very soon to something different. But that doesn't mean we can't sit and play games on our own, right? Together as just a fun thing to do. And why is music playing all of a sudden? Anyway, thank you very much. Beowulf came in. He says, "Man, my sleeping is all messed up. Been up all night watching out for fires." Well, huh? Is some kind of troubles in Australia?
Australia's
I
on
think it's
fire?
just a regular day.
There is literally no place on Earth that wants to kill you more than Australia.
Australia is
Yeah.
desperate. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's interesting because Mother Nature desires to kill us constantly, right? She
Very
she
much
does
so.
not love us,
Especially Australians,
especially
which I
Australians.
agree with.
I live in Japan. I'm on the list as well. My whole state is on fire. Beowulf says. Now here's a very interesting thing. Seeing as this Sunday we're going to be talking about aliens again, and
Uh-oh.
having fun on the TFT Tinfoil Talk. So definitely come back for that. That was a huge hit. People love that, dude. We had a lot of fun
yeah.
on that. But
Booster was too good to be on it with us. Though.
he
It's
was
okay.
too good
We
to be on.
understand.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was too asleep to be on it.
Yes, we know.
Get up.
But
It's conspiracy.
there's actually
Yeah.
this website on the internet. You can go and check global fires. I mean, where the fires are going on in the world at that time, dude. It is shocking how much of the world is on fire at any one moment. It's just, things like lightning storms. You can find, weather channels that are official government weather channels that track all that stuff to go see how many lightning storm strikes are going on at once or how many fires are going on at once. It's ridiculous. It changes your whole perspective of what this planet is like, actually. Because, a lot of
Beowulf, that's
us,
actually awesome. He has flood warnings and fire warnings. That's going to work out
it'll
well.
work out real well. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like last year, the west side of America was burning all over the place. It wasn't just the ones
Mhm.
that made the news. There were fires everywhere last year in the West.
Oh yeah.
It was really, really bad. But it is interesting. Go check it out. Anyway, we got to get out of here. So thank you guys all for joining us. It was a lot of fun. Stay safe, Beowulf. We want you to come back. We don't want you to be a crispy critter. Gotta teach this booster a lesson or two, right? But I'll check you guys out tomorrow, and thank you to the panelists for joining us. That was really appreciated. And yeah, later.
Bye.
Okay, bye.